The Met Office has issued multiple yellow weather warnings for snow and ice right across the whole country. Hundreds of flood warnings are also in place. Joining us with the latest on this, journalist Nathan Rao. With this, the thing we want to ask you, I mean, we were all forewarned there's going to be snow in London. There's not. Why?
There's not. No, there is still a chance of snow in London through today. There is a Met Office weather warning in place in London through the morning. But the snow risk is really going to be in the north in Scotland, and that's through the week. There's two storms actually brushing past the south coast of London, past the south coast of Britain. These have been named by the French Meteorological Service and the Spanish Meteorological Service, and they are called Gerard and Fionn. And they are bringing a bit more wet and windy stuff in from the south.
Yes.
The north is always going to be the first to get the cold weather and the snow in these types of situations, and that's where it's going to come down from. But I wouldn't rule it out just yet. We've got a week of very cold weather on the way. We are back on the Polar Express.
But two cold systems?
No, these are stormy systems. So these are bringing wet and windy weather up from the south. The cold is coming down from the north. This is a proper, true Arctic blast coming right down from the Arctic region across the north first and then down through the country through the week.
To last for how long?
Probably until about Thursday, and then the chance of showing something milder coming back in that we've seen, maybe wet and windier. But about 4 days we've got of this. We've got the weather warnings and the health warning as well.
And meanwhile, with the wet weather that we experienced overnight here in London, there are parts of the country at the moment that really can't afford another drop of rain. I'm thinking about the West Country. How are they faring?
Yes. Now, this is a big problem because the heavy rain, we have already had flooding, and if you look at the Environment Agency at the moment, they've got 100-odd weather alerts in place and a few weather warnings which are more serious. This heavy rain is not going to help, and there's going to be a couple of inches more, and these places are on flood alert really through the week, and if we get snow and it melts, that's going to add to it. So there's a lot of weather and a lot of weather hazards sort of going on through the week.
There's a lot of rain, which brings me on to one of my pet hates, which is water companies and these utility companies crying about there's not enough water about, there's not enough rain, and my argument is they don't do enough to catch it.
Yeah.
And they don't dig holes in the ground, they don't create reservoirs.
Yeah.
But it seems such a waste that we get it at this time of the year and no one is preserving it.
Yeah, and you're quite right. And all it does is causes flooding. And just before Christmas, the NIC, which is the National Infrastructure Commission, was warning about steps that need to be taken to prevent flooding, because all of this rain, without the reservoirs, without the boreholes, without being able to capture it, is simply flooding off and running off in torrents and flooding neighbourhoods. We saw it in the West Country. The West Country have had terrible flooding historically. We're seeing it now with virtually the whole country covered with a splatter of flood warnings. We've seen the pictures of flooding all over the place. And yet, you're right. We don't seem to be able to cope in the summer when we get a few weeks of hot weather, and we've got hosepipe bans. We've only just actually, in the last about 3-4 weeks, come out of the last hosepipe ban from the summer. Yeah. So, you're quite right. Flooding is a big issue and water shortage is a big issue. So there's the paradox.